All right, finna go ahead and get a rocking. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast. For today's episode 187, we're going to be discussing creating your winning formula. Now, this is going to be an episode that I think everyone can really take something from, especially if you're not too well versed on what is your winning formula for sure. So, I'll break that down for you in today's episode. And like I said, if you have any questions or you have any comments that you want to make, whether you are rewatching this or watching this live, let me know in the comments for sure. A few things I want to say before I go ahead and get started. Make sure you go and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and on Rumble at Life of a Champ Podcast on every single platform. The link will be in the description for every single platform if you want to go ahead and follow me. And other than that, what else we got? Yeah, leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well as my YouTube clips. I just posted another YouTube clip from one of the podcasts, so tap in with that for sure, as well as my YouTube Shorts. I'll be posting more of those this upcoming week, and more live streams here soon, as well as music live streams. If you do like music live streams, I react to certain albums that come out that are from my favorite artists. So if there's a specific album that you want me to go ahead and look out for, that you think that I might like, let me know, and I'll go ahead and give it a listen. For today's, we're going to go ahead and listen to Bryson Tiller's. So tap in with that for sure. But getting into it, creating your winning formula. So a winning formula to me is basically whatever it takes for you to live a fulfilled life. Essentially, that is what I would deem to be a winning formula. Now, what that means to you, and if it also means the same thing as it means to me, I need you to be very clear and structured with what this looks like and how it can fully be applied to your life. So that is what I will talk about in today's episode. So the first question that I think that really establishes the winning formula and what it consists of is, what are the most important aspects of life that you realize that must be prioritized? And of course, hopefully a few come to mind, and hopefully these are the things you're putting into practice on a daily basis. And as you should, these are things that should be a daily focus, something that is so integrated within your day that it is not even a second thought. Is something that is just a byproduct of hopefully well thought out conversation with yourself and conversation with others that have led you to evaluate what is the most important things within your life. So if you can come up with a few of them, maybe it's family, right? Maybe it's a purpose. Maybe it's your physical health, right? I'll go ahead and break down all of the ones that mean a lot to me personally, but I want you to really analyze those important aspects, and hopefully I can give you a good structure, and maybe you can even add more, maybe you can take away some of the ones that I had mentioned, but I want you to really analyze, because at the second part of that first question that I just asked you is, what are you realizing that needs to be prioritized, and are they truly being prioritized as they should? Is the parts of your winning formula, the parts that will bring you fulfillment, truly being prioritized as much as they should? And if not, why? So that is the questions I have for you. So I want you to go ahead and ask yourself those questions, because those questions are going to be very important, because I see all too often where people will say this is an important thing, and this is an important thing for my success, and this is an important thing generally for most people's success. And then you look at their day-to-day life, and you quickly realize that they do not have that fully integrated properly. They do not have it prioritized properly. They'll say one thing and don't prioritize it, right? So that is something that I find very interesting, and something that I think that more people need to be a little bit more aware of, and they need to be a little bit more conscious of when it comes to their day-to-day life, because these are things, like I said earlier, that must be put into practice daily, right? These are, like I said, these are things that must be prioritized. These are things that will give you the output of winning. These things will give you your success. These things will give you your fulfillment. So if those things are observably the most valuable things that you can do, those are the things that should be prioritized and should be integrated within your day, obviously, right? But like I mentioned, it's not the case for every single person. So ask yourself the question, first of all, what needs to be prioritized, and are they being prioritized? And if not, why? Ask yourself why. Maybe there's certain things within your day that hold you back, or maybe there's certain things within your day that you choose another action over the action that you know you should, right? So like I said, you must break it down for yourself and try to fully analyze if it's not being what you deem to be a priority or deem to be something that is of value, it is not being prioritized. Why is it simply not being prioritized? What is holding you back? What habits are you upholding that you shouldn't be upholding? What are certain identities that you uphold that you shouldn't uphold that are limiting you from what you want to live like? So I'll break it down for you, right? Very, very quickly, I've already mentioned a few of the ones that I deem to be of utmost importance. For me, it's physical health, which is diet and exercise. Those are two things that can completely drastically change most people's lives. If you're a person that does not have your diet in check, right, or somewhat of a structured diet, or maybe you're not well researched on foods and things like that, that one aspect will change your entire life. Like I said, that is only one aspect of the physical health, right? So just diet in general. So for me, I learned very, very quickly that high protein foods is going to be the most optimal for the human body. When it comes to building muscle, when it comes to brain health, when it comes to physical health, I would say more protein. So like I said, maybe that is red meat, maybe that is chicken, maybe that is turkey, maybe that is pork is not my meat of choice. I'll say that, but I guess it can give you some protein. But physical health, diet, and exercise. Those are two things that are the utmost importance, and things like I had mentioned need to be fully at the top of mind on the daily basis, right? And hopefully you can get them down to the point. This is where I'm at. I'm trying to get it down to the point where I don't need to really give it a second thought, right? Automaticity is what it's called. Is when you have applied a habit to the point where you no longer need extra thought. It is simply just integrated within your day. It becomes a part of your bare minimum. So that is something that I would say that if you just had that as your bare minimum, let's just say you had your meal set up, right? Or let's just say you had your workout already planned, right? Your day's gonna go a lot easier, right? Because you're not applying thought on something, which means that you can apply it on another thing, right? So, like I said, for me, physical health, diet, and exercise absolutely utmost importance. These are things that are going to drastically change your day to day life, and with that, I guess you could say sleep as well, which is something that I'm starting to prioritize a little bit more. I didn't think about it up to this point, but if there's certain sleep habits, I'm not no sleep expert or something like that, but I have observed people who have made their sleep better, right? So if there's going to be a few things that I would suggest, I'll suggest the things that I do, and I'll also suggest the things that I've heard are good for your sleep. So for me personally, um, one, working out before you sleep, working out within your day is going to be optimal for sleep, right? Because you actually want to be able to tire your body out. I would say another thing that I wish I was better at, um, staying away from my phone or blue light, like I want to say like a 90 minutes to an hour before you go to bed. So maybe staying off your phone, choosing a different habit, that's going to help your sleep out. The two things that I recently just applied that I think really really help me get into deep sleep, mouth tape. If you don't know, if you've never heard of that, it's going to sound pretty much insane, but taping your mouth so it forces your body to breathe through your nose as opposed to your mouth. You get more oxygen when you breathe through your nose. It's just more optimal for breathing in general. So if you can try your best to breathe through your nose the most you possibly can, it literally can change your entire facial structure. Like I said, do some research and figure it out for yourself. But that is just through my research that I have done. That is definitely going to help you with sleep. I also have a sleep mask as well, which when it gets to morning time, I'm not going to be awoken from the light, which is it could work in my favor sometimes because sometimes I just need extra sleep. But I would say those few things right there would definitely help somebody else with their sleep. Also, like an aura ring. I know there's like a few watches you can wear that really really track your sleep and things like that. Um, and I would say what else? What else? Oh, also not eating before you go to sleep. That's something that is optimal as well. It's like I said, something that I need to work on, but that's something that I've heard that is very very good when it comes to getting the best sleep you possibly can. Is not eating. I would say probably about 2 hours before you go to sleep because then your body's going to be more focused on digesting food. It's going to be expending energy on digesting food as opposed to actually um, going to sleep, right? Recovering and resting your body. Appreciate it, GDP. Appreciate it, man. But getting into it. So, like I said, physical health, that's diet, exercise, and sleep. Those are things that need to be prioritized and things that should be prioritized because they're going to drastically change your day. The next thing for me is work. I'll say work like that, right? Whatever it is to make you money. I'm going to say that, right? For me right now, I'm working a job. Unfortunately, but I need to make money. I have bills to pay, so that is the work that is something that needs to be prioritized, because without it, then I can't really function. So that's simple as that, right? This is going to be the next one that I think that most people really need to really focus in on, and this is going to be something that really changes your life and changes the way that you see the world. And as this is what it's done to me personally, right? I can only speak on the things that I've experienced on, but another thing that I'll prioritize is my creative single ordinating principle, right? So this is the podcast, this is my personal brand. When I learn new things, I don't learn new things for the sake of learning new things. I learn things for the sake of how it can be applied to my life, into what I'm building myself, right? With my personal brand, with my podcast, with my whatever, right? Just something that can be fully integrated within my personal life, right? So that is something that I would say could be in the form of a creative outlet for yourself. Maybe it's a business, maybe it's um, a side hustle, maybe things like that, right? That, like I said, just something that is a creative endeavor to an extent, or something that will get you out of what I called work, right? And I would say most people watching this are probably going to have a job, so you're going to need to figure out a way to get out of this trap, because if not, then you're looking forward to 40 years of working a job that you do not care about, and then that has no meaning to your life, and that you're simply only doing for lucrative gain, which is obviously, like we had mentioned, especially with my generation. My generation knows this very, very thoroughly. It is a just observing our parents and just observing the people before our parents, our grandparents, right? It is not a fulfilling life, but it is a necessary thing temporarily. But that's only if you make it a temporary thing, right? So you need to find a way out. Like I said, so this should be a creative endeavor. This should be a side hustle. This should be a business. Like I said, for me, it's a creative single ordinating principle in which I see the world through. So every single thing that I do should go back to, is this a good thing for the podcast? Is this a good thing for my personal brand? And if it's not, simply I don't do it, or simply I just cut it out, right? Getting into the next one, this is going to be relationships. This is going to be your family, friends, for me, girlfriend, right? Obviously, all things that need to be prioritized, right? You need to be able to spend time with your family. These are the people that you would enjoy success with. So therefore, you need to cultivate and build those relationships as strong as you possibly can for the time being. And obviously, I would hope that you watching this would prioritize your friends, you'd prioritize your family, and you'd prioritize your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever it is. Um, because like I said, it is something that I would deem personally to be prioritized, right? Um, and obviously, finding balance within all of that. Of course, I'm not perfect with that, but um, I do believe it's something that should be prioritized, and something that you should try to figure out a way to integrate it within your day. For me personally, I work out with my best friend most days of the week, so that's definitely been very, very good. I see my girlfriend a few times a week, right? I try to see my father's family a few times a week, and I live with my family, so um, that has definitely been very, very good for sure. But like I said, something that needs to be prioritized for sure. The next one, this is gonna be one and the same for me personally, right? This is going to be education and entertainment, right? Um, Me personally, my entertainment is education, right? I do believe it needs to be prioritized, because um, education is key. If you want to go ahead and make it to the next level in this life, you're going to need to learn new things. You're going to need to apply new things. You're going to need to change your habits. You're going to need to break out of the identity that you have. And the only way that you're truly going to be able to do that is if you're able to learn new things, and more importantly, apply what you've learned. Right? I see a lot of people learning a lot of new things, but not applying any of it, and I don't understand it at all. Right? If you know something's wrong, if you've learned something that is wrong, right? If you learn something that you've been doing is wrong, and you do not apply what you've learned, then you're simply living in self-sabotage. You're living in unnecessary suffering, because you know the solution to your problem, even if you're unaware of it. But like I said, education and entertainment. For me personally, the thing that I would recommend for you to go ahead and do, like I said, this is not going to be for every single person, but it depends on how serious you are about improving your life. But if you do want to go ahead and have some type of entertainment, um, it should be within moderation, for damn sure. And if you can, like I've been able to do, your entertainment should be education. You should be wanting to try to better yourself, even on your downtime, trying to be educated on something so you can have it for a future conversation, or like I said, maybe even apply it to what you're trying to pursue. Right, that is going to be essential for sure. The next one and final one, this is one that I've just really started doing, and something that I would say has definitely given me a lot of perspective and has given me a lot of more structure, I would say. This is going to be my relationship with God. So this is going to be another thing that I would say will contribute to the winning formula for me personally, right? Like I said, every single person is going to be different, but I do believe that your relationship with a higher power, if you do believe in a higher power, which I hope you do, because quite frankly, living life without believing in a higher power is, in my opinion, very very unwise. I'll say that. I'll say unwise. But essentially, all those things that I've mentioned are what creates my winning formula, right? So you can take a few things if you would like. You can apply all of them if you would like, right? But I think you need to be very, very clear with what this looks like for you, right? This has allowed me to fully analyze my day and see if I'm integrating all the things that I know need to be prioritized. And that is what I would recommend for you to go ahead and do yourself. So, what of the few things that I have mentioned that you believe that you must apply and must be prioritized within your day-to-day life? And maybe you even have some that you can add to the list that I made, or right, add to the list that you are making right now, right? Because these things, like I said, it just gives you more perspective on your day, and you're gonna see if you're living the way that you want to live based off of the things that you know you need to prioritize. And like I mentioned, I do believe there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have these things in mind. This needs to be prioritized. It is a smart thing for this to be prioritized. I see people who live the life that I want to live. They have it prioritized, but I don't have it prioritized. That I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me, and it shouldn't make any sense to you. So if you're doing that, or if you're being that way, you need to be able to break out of that. You need to be able to get out of this cycle, because it is not contributing to the best life that you know you could live. It is not part of a winning formula. And if it's not contributing to the winning formula, it's contributing to the losing formula. And if you don't want to lose within this life, then I would recommend that you go ahead and change the things that you know you need to go ahead and change. So these things will bring fulfillment. These things will bring happiness. These things should bring your purpose to life, right? And like I said, yeah, purpose. That's all it really is. It's just being more clear with what your purpose is, essentially, right? My purpose would essentially stem within all those things that I have mentioned. Fulfilling those things, those give me a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose, when I'm pursuing all those things, right? And hopefully, like I said, maybe you can add to that as well. Um, and the way that you structure that within your day is going to be different for every single person as well. I feel like I'm gonna recommend the few things that I have seen, that I've known to be the what I would deem to be the proper way to go ahead and set that up specifically. Um, through my own observations, I've done countless hours of research on people who deal with productivity and self improvement. So I've been able to observe all the things that they do and why they do the things that they do. So if I can give you some just basic bullet points, number one, start your day with the right things in mind and away from distraction. That is definitely a huge thing that I don't feel like enough people really prioritize. So for me, I want to stay away from my phone as much as I possibly can, because it's just going to fill my mind with a bunch of useless information that doesn't need to exactly be at the top of mind for me, especially within the morning. So like I said, obviously the day needs to start. Like I said, if I had to start from the beginning, right? You wake up in the morning, right? But before that, you obviously end your day, right? So how did you sleep? Did you make any priorities for that good night's rest? That's a huge thing as well. Also, one thing that I would say has definitely given me some utility when I have actually went ahead and applied it is writing down your days before you go ahead and go through that day. So the night before, whenever you're unwinding, and hopefully within that 90 minutes without food, right? Without that blue light, ideally speaking, you would sit down with yourself and say, okay, what do I want to set out to do tomorrow? Then you write these things down, so then when you wake up, right, after your good night's rest, you now have in front of you the things that you must do at the end of the day. By the end of the day, you have the right things at the top of mind, right? So for me personally, so when I do those things, right, when I wake up, the first thing that I do that I think, like I said, is key is focusing on my relationship with myself. Centering myself. Um, basically what I do is align myself vibrationally speaking to the vibration that I want to vibrate at. Simple as that. In gratitude, in fulfillment, in being thankful, being grateful, understanding my purpose, and more importantly, how God plays a role within that. Right. That is definitely going to be at the top of mind and towards the beginning of my day when I live the best day that I can possible. That is what it looks like, and that is something that I think that more people need to really prioritize as well. If you did live your ideal day out, right, with all the things that you've prioritized, right, what would that ideal day look like? What would it consist of? And more importantly, what would it not consist of? And then obviously you want to go ahead and compare that to the day that you've been living, right? The week that you have been living, and say, how closely aligned is this? What adjustments do I need to go ahead and make? What are things that I need to cut out? What are things that I need to go ahead and add? And then you obviously go from there. But getting back to what I was saying, right? Like I said, start my day with a good night's rest, with a plan tomorrow. So I wake up, I remove myself from distraction. I put myself in a place, vibrationally speaking, where I have myself, the place that I want to go, and my relationship with God all within the beginning of my day. So now I have the right things at the top of mind. I know what I'm doing the work for, right? I know where I'm going. I know where I want to go, right? And then from there, this is something that I would say is definitely going to be something that is a cheat code. And if you can prioritize this somehow, some way, even if it's unintentional, this is going to give you benefits that I feel like not enough people talk about. Starting your day fasted, truly fasted, right? You can have water, but void yourself from eating for the first few hours of your day and see how your brain works compared to after you eat. So this is something that I've been very, very conscious of. If you've paid attention to any of the podcasts that I've done, I recently did a podcast, maybe like 15, 20 podcasts ago on fasting. I fasted for almost 4 days, and within that period of time, um, I had learned a lot about the human body and the way it works, and more importantly, how my body responds to adversity in many different aspects. And one of the things that I learned, not only from that experience, but from the experiences previous, which had led me to want to go ahead and fully, go through with the fast. I had done intermediate fasting, um, or intermittent fasting. I thought that was going to be very, very useful thing when it comes to how your brain functions, and getting it to function at its highest frequency early on in the day, not really processing food and digesting food, but really just trying to focus, right? And I noticed thoroughly when it comes to my day to day life, I am able to think a lot sharper. I'm able to be better at decision making. I'm able to have more discernment. I'm able to have more self discipline in the morning when I haven't eaten anything yet. And it kind of goes hand in hand with like, let's just say the primal ways of living, right? The primal ways of living, you would go out and you would need to hunt, right? You wouldn't start your day with a meal. That would make no sense because, quite frankly, you might not have a meal, if that makes any sense. So, like I said, if we're looking at the primal way, you'd get up in the morning, right, early in the morning, whatever, whenever the sun comes up, right, and from there you would go on a hunt, you would go on a run, you would go chase some animals so you can get a meal, right? But in that period of time, you need to be sharp, right? So the human body has adapted to be the sharpest early on when you're already fasted, because that you're basically in survival mode, if that makes any sense. So your brain's going to work better. And like I had mentioned, right? Observe how your brain works, like I have, right? Observe how your brain works before you eat in the day, and after you eat, see how your body feels. There's certain things that you can eat that can hopefully, add on to your brain's firing capacity. But like I would say, most people, they usually eat like carb heavy foods, maybe some breads, maybe some pastas, maybe some rice, and see how your brain works. It's not going to work as fluid as you would like it to. It's not gonna be clicking on all cylinders as it would if you just kept fasted, right? So with that being said, if you're gonna be in a fasted state, I would say get the work that you need to get done, that hopefully is like I said, the side business, or the, for me personally, the single ordinating principle of my day, that is going to be what I need to prioritize for the rest of my day. Like I said, building the personal brand, right? Maybe this looks like like I said, just a creative endeavor for you. Maybe this looks like what else? What else could it be for another person? Um, yeah, like I said, side hustle. I'm trying to think. There's definitely a lot of things that it could be for you. Like I said, maybe it's fulfilling your purpose in a specific way, right? Maybe it's something that you're trying to build, right? Which hopefully you're trying to build something, or at the very least, trying to get educated on what you want to build. Maybe that would be filling your purpose, right? If you do not have a purpose, your purpose is trying to find your purpose, right? So maybe you would do that early in the morning when your brain is going to be functioning the best that it possibly can, right? So that would be one thing that I would recommend. So after you've already established a good night's rest, you've established what you want to do for the day, you've established what you need to prioritize, you remove yourself from distraction, right? You have the right things at the top of mind, like I had mentioned, and then now you're doing it in the fasted state where you can now begin what I'd like to call deep work, right? Deep work would look like me sitting down, editing videos, like I said, basically prioritizing the personal brand that I'm building, right? So whatever that looks like for you, and however you want to go ahead and apply that, I would recommend, like I mentioned, in a fasted state because your brain's going to work better. That's something that I've observed, right? Go ahead and try to observe it yourself and see how it works. But it is the concept that I've heard. It's called eat the frog. You do the hardest thing at the beginning of the day as opposed to the end of the day. In the beginning of the day, you have the most willpower. Throughout the day, you make certain decisions, and by you making certain decisions, you give out your willpower. You give out your decision making ability, right? You're going to be better at making decisions earlier in the day as opposed to later on in the day. So therefore, make the most important decisions and get through the most important work early in the day in a fasted state, and you're going to be in a much better place, in my opinion, right? So after you get done with that work, then obviously you need to get into your regular morning routine. Maybe that will look like somewhat eating. Maybe that will look like, obviously, in no order specifically. Maybe that will look like, you know, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, doing all whatever you need to do, right? And like I said, maybe you just need to eat after that, before that, however you want to do it. But essentially, you start in a fasted state. You eat some food, or you get ready for your day, right? And then you go from there, right? And then for me personally, it would just look like me getting into my work, like I had mentioned, right? Getting Obviously, it's an obligation that I have to do, and obviously an obligation that most people have to do. So therefore, you'd get into your day's work. But yeah, and then obviously you'd want to eat after that, and then like I'd mentioned, another thing that I personally prioritize, and something that must be prioritized along with eating, right? The physical health. Um, that would be, going ahead and working out. That would be after my work. So that's typically how my day goes. I go ahead and work out, and I also prioritize, hanging out with my friend, right? That is definitely going to be something that can definitely elevate you if you need to work out, and if you were looking to try to work out with somebody that you know, somebody that you trust, somebody that you get along with very, very well, somebody that is reliable, and somebody that is consistent. If you can do that, that will definitely be one step in the right direction in terms of trying to better your physical health. Therefore, it bleeding into every single other aspect of your life, making your life better, in my opinion, right? So do those few things, and then after that, after you get done with that, so for me personally, right, and throughout what I've laid out so far, right, so you would have gotten done with your work, the creative endeavor or purpose, or whatever that would look like for you, right? You would have the right things at the top of mind. You would have been productive. You would have been fasted. You would have eaten. You would have done your morning routine, whatever that looks like for you, right? And then you can get to the point where now, after a day's work and a day of building, now you can get into the things of entertainment, right? Education. You can get into those things, and I would say you can kind of sprinkle those in between all these things that I've mentioned. Um, but I would say try your best to put off entertainment for the end of your day, after you've already got all the things that you needed to get done, and all the things that you needed to prioritize were already prioritized, right? Maybe you enjoy entertainment with your family, right? That would be the day after the day's work, after the day's after you building within that day. Then you can get into the education and the entertainment, and like I said, entertainment specifically, maybe with the people that you love. And I would say that is probably going to be my ideal um, ideal winning formula. So like I said, what does that look like for you? What does the ideal formula look like, and how specifically can it be applied to your day, right? I've given you a pretty decent structure, and hopefully you could take something from it. And like I said, I need you guys to create your own, because quite frankly, you could take my success formula, and you're gonna be able to be fairly effective and very, very efficient. But based on when you need to go ahead and prioritize, based on your own life, based on the things that you want to go ahead and accomplish, right? What does that look like for you? And how can this be specifically applied to your day in order to live the most fulfilled day that you possibly can? By obviously prioritizing what you believed that needs to be prioritized. Um, so for me personally, like I said, I've done countless hours of research on some of the most productive people in the self-improvement space, and they all really have a similar practice to one that I have mentioned, right? They all have a very, very similar winning formula to the one that I had mentioned, right? They fast in the morning, they get their work done early, they put in the work, whatever work they need to. Maybe that's working out, maybe that's going to a job, whatever it is, and then they spend the rest of their day enjoying it with the people they love. Maybe they work out with their friends, maybe they work out with their family, maybe they watch movies, maybe they do whatever, but they do it after the day's work already, right? So yeah, as simple as that. Like I said, that is going to be my winning formula. So like I said, what does your winning formula look like, and how can you build off of that, right? So I would say you must take a look into what is your ideal day. What does the ideal day look like for you? And like I had mentioned, observably speaking, from the days that you've just lived, maybe from today specifically that you're watching this podcast, right? How close was that day compared to the ideal day that you want to go ahead and live? And of course, like anything, right? Life is going to be very, very fluid. So maybe you're not going to be able to live that day out as much as you possibly can, but you need to at least have it at the top of mind, where you need to have that as a possibility. And the days that you do go ahead and it, fully fulfill the day that you had set out for, the better your life is going to be, because you had some structure, you prioritize the things that you believe to go ahead and prioritize, that you believe you need to go ahead and prioritize, and then you went ahead and you acted on what you've learned. You've acted on what you needed to do, and the only thing you could truly be satisfied with is the day's work. So therefore, at the end of the day, now you can expend it with the people you love, right? That is what I would deem to be a winning for formula, right? There's really no, in my opinion, there's no better formula. This is something that I've observed time and time again, something that I've been constantly trying to improve. But realistically, there's not really a better winning formula. If you can do all those things, you're going to be in a good position. And like I mentioned, maybe your day looks different than mine does, right? How do you fit in working out? How do you fit in prioritizing your work? How do you fit in um, prioritizing your physical health, right? How do you fit in education and entertainment? Do you do it at the beginning of the day? Do you do that at the end of the day? How would you prioritize your relationships, right? How would you delegate enough time to the people that are worth your time? And more importantly, how do you get rid of the people who aren't worth your time? More importantly, right? So yeah, take a look at your day, man. Take a look at your day. Is it close? And hopefully it is close, right? Even on my off days, I'm still fairly close to the day that I had set out for, right? So I want to kind of get into another aspect of this, and I think this needs to be mentioned because, quite frankly, this is going to be giving you a little bit more insight to your winning formula, right? Essentially, like I had mentioned, the winning formula is going to bring you the most fulfillment. It's going to bring you the most happiness, right? It's going to bring you hopefully some structure, right? It is going to be prioritizing the things that you believe that need to be prioritized. But more importantly, I want to kind of bring this different element into it because this can definitely add to hopefully your winning formula, right? What do you believe to be a productive day for you? What does a productive day look like? So ask that question for you. So I would say everybody who asks themselves that question is going to come up with a slightly different answer, right? So my answer for damn sure is probably going to be different than most people. What would a productive day look like as productivity is defined differently by different people, of course, right? So what does that look like for you? Some people would say, some people would say how much money you make. That would be definitely one that a lot of people would say, right? Some people would say how many hours you work. Some people would say how many things you got done. Some people would say a combination of those few things, right? For me personally, I would say I would define a productive day with the quality of thoughts and the quality of creative work that I put in. That is what I define to be a productive day, right? And essentially that is the day that I had broken down earlier, right? It is going to be hopefully giving stimulating me to the point where I can have enough of those good thoughts, right? So the way that I would do that is by, obviously fulfilling my mind with good entertainment, which is education in my opinion. And obviously, being able to have engaging conversations with the people that I love. That is definitely going to add to my thoughts, as well as being in that fasted state early on in the morning, which is when I have my best thoughts personally. And yeah, just having the best time that I possibly can have, while also prioritizing the things that I need to go ahead and prioritize, right? And also, more importantly, right, a productive day is going to look like the quality and the amount of work that I put in within my creative endeavor, right? So, what constitutes a productive day for you? Does that look like putting in a certain amount of work? Does this look like, um, I don't know, man. It's gonna look different for every single person. I've kind of given you some of the ways in which a lot of people would answer that question, right? Some people, like I said, some people would say it's how much money I made. That's gonna define me as a productive day, right? Or how many hours I've worked, right? Everybody's gonna be different. What does that look like for you specifically? And hopefully you can become a little bit more clear. And hopefully, I wish this for you very, very much, that you can begin to expand on that concept. And hopefully it's not exactly one dimensional as most people would define it to be, right? Based on most people's actions, they would say a productive day looks like how many hours that I worked in that day, or working as many hours as I can on that day. Just observing people's actions, right? Because most people go to work, they clock in for 8 hours, or clock in for however many hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, maybe 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is, right? And that is their day's productivity, right? When they think of a productive day, they think of a day that consists of just working. And that's it, right? Me personally, a productive day is going to be like prioritizing the things that need to be prioritized, right? Maybe working out, spending time with family, getting my creative work done, the quality of thoughts that I can have, right? I would say that there's definitely a lot of days where even if I don't do anything super, super special or get the most work done that I possibly can get done, if I've had a good thought, that day is automatically productive, right? So, for example, right? So there was a day this week that allowed me to have this idea for the podcast, right? There was actually, I think, 2 days that helped me develop this podcast, right? That is what I would define to be a productive day, because now that has transcended into the idea in which I will speak on later, right? So that is a productive day for me. So what is a productive day for you? What does that look like for you? And more importantly, what does a less than productive day look like for you? All right, here we go. Here we go. I got a comment real quick. Imagine what life would look like if you had the opposite. If it would be worse than it is now, but with whatever that is should be prioritized. Okay. So it's the opposite, of course. Example, your health with the gym versus with no gym, or life with family or without family. Exactly. What would that look like? That's a very, very good question that a lot of people need to ask themselves. Um, yeah, imagine what life would look like in the opposite way that is the productive day, right? Is the winning formula. What does the losing formula look like, right? Are you actually attending to the losing formula? What you would define to be the losing formula, right? So let's just say you're playing video games for 6 hours a day, right? That is a fucking losing formula. Even people that do play video games, if you're not getting paid for that shit, you know damn well that's a losing formula, brother. You know that. You know it deep down in your soul, right? If you are a man and you're not getting stronger in that day, right? You're not physically testing yourself. If you're not mentally testing yourself, that is a losing formula. And you know it. You know it. You know it deep down, right? If you're not talking to women, right? if you're not building a relationship with the opposite gender, right? That is a losing formula for damn sure. I don't care what nobody says. You know this. Biologically speaking, primally speaking, that's a fucking bad day, brother. That's a bad day. Um, right? Not contributing to the world as much as you possibly can, right? Not pursuing creative or purposeful work. That is a part of the losing formula, right? Be very very clear what these things are. Maybe it's taking drugs or drinking all day, right? That's that's a losing formula. Even the people that love doing that shit, they know it's a losing formula. They know that's not the best thing you possibly can do. And life's not always about doing the most that you possibly can. It's not always about that. Trust me, it's not. But at the same time, it's like, come on now, dude. You gotta be able to at least do it most of the time. Here's the thing: most people are not doing it most of the time, so that's why I gotta mention it still. Classic champ quote about gaming. Exactly. I always gotta put people on game, man. About not playing games. That's what I gotta do. There's not enough people that tell you. There's not enough people tell you what you need to hear. There's a lot of people telling you exactly what you want to hear, right? I'm always going to I'm always going to tell you what you need to hear as opposed to what you want to hear. Because quite frankly, if you're programmed correctly, what you need to hear is exactly what you want to hear. But that's not the case for most people. But for me personally, that is a way that I've structured my life. That is my entertainment. That is my education. That is listening to people tell me what I need to hear as opposed to not what I would rather not hear. If that makes any sense, right? But yeah, that is what I have to say for today's podcast. So I'll go ahead and review it for the one time, right? Create a winning formula. You create a winning formula based on the things that you know that you need to prioritize, right? And if you're not prioritizing the things that you know you need to go ahead and prioritize, why are you not prioritizing the things that you know you need to prioritize, right? So let's just say, for example, right? Let's just say you want to go ahead and prioritize physical health because you know you want to live a long life, right? So you would obviously do that by maybe, eating better, maybe working out, right? So if you know that's something that is of the absolute importance, or let's just say you admire people who prioritize that, right? And you're not prioritizing yourself, why are you not prioritizing it? Begin to ask that question and begin to make yourself feel very, very uncomfortable with a less than satisfactory answer. That is what I've done. And the aspects of my life that I knew maybe it wasn't right, and maybe I wasn't doing the right thing. I had to confront myself so many times to the point where I felt so uncomfortable to do the action, and I felt so guilty for doing the action that I had no choice but to do what I knew to be right. So get to that point with yourself. Feel that healthy level of guilt to the point where you need to go ahead and take action because your potential is calling you to action, right? So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the things that I believe that needs to be prioritized, right? Maybe you can go ahead and add some more to this, right? So like I said, physical health, sleep, dieting, and exercise, absolutely important, right? Another one that needs to be prioritized is work. Another one that needs to be prioritized is your single, or like I said, I'm gonna speak for myself, right? Maybe it's your purpose, right? So, or maybe it's a creative endeavor. For me, it's gonna be my creative single ordinating principle. I want to go ahead and build up a personal brand, so therefore it would be contributing to that personal brand, right? Another one would be relationships, right? Family, friends, spouses, whatever you want to call it, right? That is going to be hopefully what you prioritize because quite frankly, who are you going to enjoy this time with? Hopefully somebody. Along with that, education and entertainment, like I had mentioned before, if you're programmed correctly, your education and entertainment will be intertwined. And last but not least, with my relationship with God. These are all things that I believe that need to be prioritized, and figure out a way to go ahead and integrate that within your day because that is going to bring you the most fulfillment. Like I had mentioned, how can you prioritize these things daily? How can you structure your day based on what you know you need to go ahead and be productive with? That would include all the things that you know you need to be prioritized, and more importantly, what does a productive day look like? It should look like something similar to what I had mentioned earlier. And yeah, be clear. What does a productive day look like to you? Maybe it looks like working a certain amount of time. Maybe it looks like making a certain amount of money. Maybe it looks like you having certain thoughts, or maybe it looks like you pursuing your purpose, right? Whatever it's going to look like for you, be very, very clear with this. Be very, very structured, and you're going to be in a much better place. That's what I'll say for sure. So hopefully you could take something from this. If you have any questions or any comments regarding today's episode, leave it in the comments for sure. This was episode 187 of the Life of a Champ podcast, talking about creating your winning formula. And I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. And like I said, more work on the way. To end it off, I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers, because you know that mine and me are for damn sure. So tap in with the next episode on Thursday. Like I said, more live streams coming up. I will try to do a live stream tomorrow. I'll be reacting to a few different videos. So if you have a specific video that you want me to go and react to, let me know in the comments. And other than that, like I said, music live streams, I'm going to be doing one in about 45 minutes from now. So tap in with that one for sure. If you like new music, tap in with that. But other than that, you guys have a good rest of your night. Next podcast on Thursday. Yeah. Create your winning formula. The people around you need it more than you need it. So therefore, do it for them. Y'all have a good night, man.